Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Drastic Reacts. Oh, I've got some cracking clips for you today. Go and get your drinks and snacks ready while I whack up the content creator list to say thank you to them. If it weren't for these people, we wouldn't be able to have these reaction channels. And, yeah, they deserve a bit of gratitude for it. So thank you to all of these. And, yeah, hope your drinks and your snacks are ready because we're rocking and rolling. God bless you all.
Why isn't anybody talking about the fact that they had to rescue 16 children from a home in Hamden, Ohio? You heard what I just said? Ohio authorities had to rescue children, 16 children that were confined in their home, locked in for 4 years. A 12 by 12 home filled with human waste, bacteria, and garbage. They were living in crazy conditions. Mind you, people were saying that these people who owned the home were there for around 4 years and they never seen any kids. You had 4 people that was arrested. You had 16 children ranging from the age of 18 to 1.5 years old. There were 3 sets of twins in the house. Mind you, authorities are saying that some of these children didn't even know how to speak correct. They're saying that there's no way that they had any type of education. They had to take 7 children to the hospital. They had to airlift 2 of these children. That's how bad these conditions were. And again, these children couldn't speak or write English. You have some authorities saying that this is the worst thing they've ever seen in their entire life. Thank God somebody tipped the authorities off because it could have been worse than that. I'm out.
Thoughts and prayers to all the children there because that's disgusting.
Mind-boggling footage circulating across social media claims to capture an unbelievable encounter with an alien emerging from a crashed spacecraft in the wild. In the clip, a massive metallic saucer lies wrecked in an open grassland, while a small herd of zebras grazes nearby. Suddenly, a tall, slender extraterrestrial entity steps out from the fractured hull of the craft. As the creature raises its hand and gestures toward the savannah, the startled zebras quickly turn and scatter across the dry plains. Surprisingly, the detailed landscape lighting, realistic animal reactions, and an intricate alien rendering led thousands of UFO enthusiasts to debate whether this was a leaked safari sighting or a hyper-realistic AI-generated CGI scene. What do you think? Is this real or fake? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to follow for more.
I can't believe this. UFO.
We need to blow this girl up because she just spelled the actual T without gatekeeping to make money in 2026.
I'm scared to show you this because a lot of people might get rich and copy me, which will make it so much harder for me, but I just have to show you what I found, but I might delete this later. Learn the secret, where you just go to TikTok shop and find like a viral product. This one already has 57K sold, and you just copy this link. Go to this website, it's like Page Pilot, and then you go to Create Product Page, you paste your link in, and then you press Next. In like 60 seconds, it makes you like a full website. Like, you can customize all this, it even has reviews. Publish it to Shopify just right here. All you do is just download these ads it makes you. The copywriting is already done, you just run them on Meta, and like, just let the money come to you.
When I tell you she's not gatekeeping, she's not. Look at all of these I just created in less than like 10 minutes. I mean, look. Like what?
I had the privilege to preach in an all-black church. They are great churches, wonderful people. But here's a Sunday morning, and I walked in this church. There were several thousand people there. But I'm looking around, and I noticed I am the only person I can see here not of color. My guest said, sit right down over here on the front row, so I sat down. The people were warm, they were friendly. Finally, a dear black lady came walking in. Precious lady. She walked over, and she sat down on the front row, just a seat or two away from me. And I said to her, how are you doing? She said, I'm doing great. She said, how are you? I said, I'm great. Then she said something that startled me. No one had ever said this to me before. She said, what are you doing here, white boy? Now, never in my life had anybody called me white boy. I said, well, white boy's going to preach this morning. She said, no kidding. Then she looked at me and she said, you got the stuff, white boy? I said, I beg your pardon. She said, don't play stupid, white boy. You know exactly what I mean. The preacher's either got the stuff or he don't have the stuff. If the preacher don't have the stuff, we don't have church. You got the stuff, yes or no, white boy? Which is it? I said, white boys got the stuff. I didn't know what to say, okay? I mean, I'm sort of caught. She said, first thing we're going to do is we're going to sing for about an hour and a half. I said, an hour and a half? Oh, she said, it gets the devil so mad. She said, you love to sing, don't you, white boy? I said, I'm loving it more by the minute. Yeah, ma'am. She said, then after that, we have testimonies. And she said, then you get to preach. And she said, white boy, we didn't come here to get out. We come here to have church. She said, now I need you to do me a favor. I said, what's the favor? She said, I need you to move over. I said, move over? She said, yeah. Now, there's that much space between us. I said, somebody else coming? She said, no. I said, can I ask why you want me to move over? She said, sure. She said, when I get singing, I need my room. Good thing I moved over. That lady started singing and tears just poured down her cheeks. Finally, the pastor called me up. I said, preacher, I want to tell you something about her. I want her spirit when we sing. He said, Brother Gibbs, did she share her testimony? I said, no. She said, Brother Gibbs, she has 2 teenage boys and a husband, who a year ago they went down to catch a bus, her husband to work and the boys to school, at 5:30 in the morning. And a car pulled up full of thugs at 5:30 a.m. and shotguns came out and they killed her family for no reason. We don't know who did it. We haven't been able to find their heads yet. When we had the funeral for those kids and her husband, she said, you gotta help me sing. I gotta help God. I thought to myself, Lord, forgive me for walking into church upset over what I can't even remember what, and sing half-hearted if hardly at all. Now, the whole reason I told you this story is for this. After 10 minutes, I said, Lord, I want that. Would anybody want the spirit you sing with? Would they even notice the spirit you sing with? The Bible says, whatever your hand finds to do it with all your might.
What's that?
Now, one little thing I've got to say about that, which I love that story, but I'm almost positive I heard a different chaplain or preacher tell the exact same story only a month or 2 ago. So I don't know if we're getting like the internet, whatever you call it, they call it, I don't know. But I don't know. Anyway, back to the clip.
Oh, the CIA released a document saying that the Earth is a hologram. Imagine that. And that we can access superhuman abilities. And they explain so how in this document. Tell me more! Yeah, you heard that right. According to the CIA released document, they explain how humans can access superhuman ability. Now, the way they say that you can do this is by going through hemisync. Oh, what's hemisync, you ask? Well, it's basically getting your brain synced up together so that both parts of the brain are in harmony. Okay. So how do you do that? Oh, well, what you do is you have to have a frequency playing in each ear, but a different frequency on each ear between 3 and 7 hertz. Okay? The document states that basically, once you have this hemisync, you are able to basically do anything in this hologram. I love it!
Why did he get killed? Why did Jesus Christ get killed? Because he was a revolutionary. He was a revolutionary, and he tried to teach people, hey, stay away from these religious people. Go within yourself. That's what he said. He said, you take away the key of knowledge because you don't enter within yourself. And they killed him. And the reason was he was a threat to the system. He was a threat to the religious system. And yet his teachings now are blossoming today. Because he taught, hey, you've got to get within yourself. You've got to move within yourself and become one with that which is the eternal, universal you.
Satellites don't exist. Look. Satellites do not provide internet. The internet is provided by undersea cables. Why are there no cables going from South America to Africa or Africa to Australia? Because on a realistic map, these distances are just too great. Satellites do not exist. These are all just cartoons. You cannot find a real picture of a satellite.
There was only one rule to entering Earth. Forget who you are. Earth isn't just a planet. It's the greatest experiment in the universe. Consciousness came here knowing it would forget everything, to see if, even in total darkness, the light could be remembered. You chose your body, your family, your role. You entered as a baby and were taught fear and separation. Most forgot completely. God is inside you became you are separate. But something shifted. Earth entered a new frequency. Across the planet, many arrived disguised as ordinary humans, waiting, sleeping, and now they're waking up, remembering who they are, dreaming a new Earth into being, built not on fear, but on love. And if you're hearing this, maybe you're one of us.
Here are the 5 whistleblowers that died in the most suspicious circumstances. Number 5, the ChatGPT whistleblower Suchir Balaji. Balaji helped build ChatGPT and went on to accuse OpenAI of breaking the law to build it. I think we all know they did that one. 8 days after he was named in the case, he was dead, 26 years old. He worked at OpenAI for 4 years, quit, and then went on the record with the New York Times. Now, on the 18th of November 2024, their lawyers filed a list of people holding unique and relevant documents in the copyright case against OpenAI. Balaji's name was on that list. Then he was found dead in his San Francisco apartment with a single gunshot wound. Officially, it was ruled that he took his own life. His parents have never accepted this story. In fact, they hired a former FBI agent, commissioned their own autopsy, and they say that it found a bruise on the back of his head. Although, to be fair, they never released his autopsy. Number 4 is Karen Silkwood. She died while driving.
I thought he was found with a double gunshot wound to the head. That's why it was, like, completely suspicious. Like, you know, fact check me up on that. Fact check me on that, because I'm not sure 100% on it. But I think that's why it was really suspicious, because it was a double tap in the head.
Evidence to a reporter. So Karen made plutonium pellets for Kern McGee in Oklahoma, and she testified to the Atomic Energy Commission about how sloppily they handled these dangerous radioactive materials. Then that same contamination she was talking about shows up in her own body and all over her apartment. In November 1974, she left a union meeting with a folder of documents, and she was on her way to a New York Times reporter. She never arrived. Her car was found crashed into a concrete wall, but the folder of evidence was not in the wreck, and it has never been found. The union she was a part of found this extremely suspicious as they hired an investigator who found skid marks and a fresh dent in her rear bumper, although the state ruled that she fell asleep at the wheel. Sure. Number 3 is John Barnett, who died on the 3rd morning of testifying against Boeing. So John Barnett spent 32 years in quality control at Boeing. While he was at the 787 Dreamliner factory in North Charleston, he found that the emergency oxygen systems weren't deployed. So Boeing's own research unit tests 300 of them and 75 of them failed. That's 1 in 4. He reported it internally, sent it out, Boeing did not care. So he went to a regulator and sued Boeing for retaliating against him. In March 2024, he spent 2 days in Charleston giving sworn evidence against Boeing. Then on the 3rd day, he didn't show up. They found him in his truck in the hotel car park, dead from a gunshot, ruled self-inflicted. 2 months later, the 2nd Boeing whistleblower died as well. His name was Josh Dean, 45, healthy, had the same lawyer, although less suspiciously he was killed by a sudden infection, but it was sudden. Number 2, Frank Olson. Frank was a US Army scientist who wanted out of the CIA's biological weapons program. Olson, having worked on that program at Camp Dietrich, had seen what they were really doing, which, if he wanted to leave, this made him a problem. So in 1953, Sidney Gottlieb, the man who ran MK Ultra, spiked his drink with LSD, and then 9 days later he was sharing a 13th floor room at a hotel with a CIA officer called Robert Lashbrook. At 2 in the morning, he threw himself through a closed window with the curtain still drawn, which is a very inconvenient way to take one's own life. But trust me, it gets weirder, because police found Lashbrook sitting on the toilet with his head in his hands saying that he'd been asleep. But the hotel switchboard operator says something else. She says that she'd listened in on a call made from that room just seconds after Olson hit the ground. On this call, Lashbrook said, well, he's gone, and the other voice said, well, that's too bad, and they both hung up. But then in 1994, Olson's son had the body of his father dug up because he didn't buy the autopsy. So the autopsy in 53 said that his face was cut to pieces by the glass. When they dig the body up, there's no cuts, but there is a gaping hole in his skull. The examiner said it was rankly and starkly suggestive of homicide, meaning murder. Number 1 is the most terrifying secret society-looking shit in the world. But before I get to it, if you like this kind of content and you want to just help me out, see more, please just drop me a follow. It really helps me make these.
And me, I could do with a subscribe, please. It's all free, entertainment purposes as well. Think of that.
Number one, a freelance writer who believed he had found one enormous conspiracy linking the CIA, stolen government software, and half the scandals of the 1980s. He called it the Octopus. That's why in August of 1991 he was driving to Martinsburg of West Virginia to meet the source, and before he left he told his brother that he'd been getting threatening phone calls and that if anything were to happen to him out there, it would not be an accident. Very ironic words, because that same day he died of a horrible accident. The next morning, a maid found him naked in his hotel bathtub with his arm slashed 12 times, 4 cuts on one arm, 8 on the other. Of course, it was ruled that he did this to himself, and his body was very quickly embalmed, and the hotel room was scrubbed with industrial cleaner before his family even knew that he was dead. And every single file that he owned, that he traveled everywhere with, was gone.
Music is me, you, sick. Me and you sick. Because frequency is one of the few forces that can penetrate both your consciousness and body without your conscious consent.
A 22-year-old student
I've
did
got to
something
talk
that
about that, right? Because I'm telling you now, that's what destroyed me in my life, was my ego. And I ain't going to get into it on this channel, because I'll do that on my other Drastic channel. And but just be wary of it, because I mean, I believe in God, I believe in the devil, but the ego is dangerous.
Publishers couldn't stop. She collected 88 million scientific papers, made them free for the world, and then turned the entire library into an AI. And the world's top science journal responded by calling her one of the most important people alive. And here's what she did. Her name is Alexandra Elbakyan. She grew up in Kazakhstan and taught herself to code at 12. And by the time she was a graduate student, she kept running into the same locked door. Scientific journals were charging $30 to $50 just to read a single paper. And even the scientists who wrote those papers often couldn't even afford to read their own work. So for a student in Kazakhstan, this wasn't just expensive, it was impossible. And most people would have complained and moved on, but she opened her laptop instead. And in 2011, in just 3 days, she wrote a program that bypassed every paywall at once. She called it Sci-Hub. She never sold it or charged a cent for it. She just left the door open for everyone. Today, that archive holds 88 million papers and covering up to 95% of all the paywall research on Earth. Publishers dragged her to court and won a $15 million judgment. But she never paid it. Governments ordered the site blocked in country after country, and it just kept coming back. And then she went one step further. She put an AI on top of the whole thing. Now you can ask it anything in plain English, and it'll search all 88 million papers, write you a full answer, and cite every source it used. She didn't just unlock the library. She handed everyone a key and taught them how to use it. And in 2016, Nature, which is one of the most powerful science journals on the planet, the exact kind of publisher she was stealing from, named her one of the 10 most influential people in science. The establishment she was robbing turned around and gave her an award. So is she dangerous or brilliant? Let me know what you think in the comments.
And that's why they keep you constantly distracted with external things. Because they don't want you to know that your body is the most advanced technology on the earth, and that your mind is in charge of 50 trillion cells that religiously obey every thought command that you project. You are literally in charge of a universe inside of it. But they want you to think rocket ships and iPhones are very advanced technology. But look at yourself. No one can replicate the human body.
So if you're watching this, consider yourself lucky, because this girl exposed 3 of some of the most insane sites that I guarantee you will not see anywhere else. Just check these out.
What are the 3 most dangerous websites? Don't even think about checking these up on Google.
If you go to this website, you can give it any photo, and it'll find the exact location where that photo is taken.
This way, you can tell friends are lying to you about their location, or if they're trying to hide something from you.
Next is this website. This website lets you upload your textbooks or notes and turns it into a podcast that you can listen to.
It's low-key dangerous because it makes studying feel addicting.
And if you're ever confused, you can just interrupt it and ask a question like this. Can you explain this to me like it's Stranger Things? It also generates an unlimited amount of practice questions, so you can literally just keep going until you master everything. And if you ever get something wrong, you can just click show explanation and it'll explain the correct answer to you. Last but not least is this website. This website lets you download any paid application for free, like Spotify Premium, Academic Pro, and many more.
Make sure to see this video and you'll think you like.
Oh, I'm not being funny, but I enjoyed them clips. I thought they were bangers. And it's true about the body being the greatest technology on earth, because they still can't replicate it. They're trying desperately, but they're nowhere near it. Nowhere near. If only we weren't being lied to about existence itself, because you know there are gatekeepers not telling us the truth. But there's the one man who did come to tell us the truth. You all know who he is, yeah? He came and he told us, don't believe any of them false religions. The kingdom of God is inside you and all around you. You know who that mum was, don't you? Jesus Christ himself, the man himself. He'll be back soon, I guarantee you. Everyone's starting to feel it now that we're in the days of Noah. So, if you know, you know. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there for you. I'm honest to God, my head's burnt from this today, because this is about the 4th, 5th time I've done it. And something kept going wrong, and finally I've got it done. So I can get it up and out there for you. I hope you enjoyed the clips. God bless you all. Ciao, bells.